Duke and Duchess of Sussex, have been out of the news, have been out of the limelight. I've been away, but they haven't really been in the newspapers or in the news the last couple of weeks. Do you think they were very busy last couple of months? Do you think that they often get criticised for doing things when the other royals are carrying out major tours or carrying out major work. Do you think they have stepped back deliberately the last couple of weeks so that Charles and William can have their moment?
I think she is genuinely probably doing a lot of sort of work in the background for this project with Netflix and this American Riviera Orchard. I think that's the thing that she's focusing on, and she's probably, I think she's had a few problems with trademark or something, or with the name of the thing, and probably got to go through some legal battles. But I think that's going to be the next thing, and she probably wants to sort of have a bit of a hiatus so that she can really launch that. As for Harry, obviously he's been back and forth with a couple of charities, and they seem to be going their separate ways, don't they? But it's not
just
bad.
On that, Phil, going their separate ways, business ways.
Going their separate ways.
Always clarifying that.
No evidence that they're splitting up at the moment, personally. I mean, I think we all sort of have our doubts as to whether the marriage will last, for 10, 20, 30 years, but only time will tell. But in terms of their, business and charitable activities, they do seem to be having this policy at the moment of going their separate ways. But it's not a bad thing to have a quiet period from them, is it? Sometimes have a bit of a rest.
And also, I do think it is very deliberate that they didn't say or release anything really in the last couple of weeks, because these things had been in the diary for so long. The King's tour and William's homelessness project, and I just think that there's been the optics are so bad, where there's been a couple of announcements that have coincided with things like Kate's finishing up her chemotherapy video. I think there was an announcement that day from the Sussexes, and things like that. The optics, just even if it is not deliberate from them that they've been released at the same time, the optics are that it's quite petty.
Well,
I think they.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just was going to say, I think it would be, they would have known these things were coming up. They've been really well publicised, and I think they would just say, with Earth shot, everything else happening, let's just stay quiet for a few weeks.
And the paperback version of Spare has come out, hasn't it, during this last couple of weeks? Normally, you would have added in a couple of sensational headline-grabbing stories into the paperback version of a book. He would have done more TV work and more promotional work. Didn't do that this time. So, again, that's an indication that they are reining back a bit, and he's probably realised that he's not going to build any bridges unless he sort of, cools it down a bit. So I think that was quite interesting, because normally you would try and get some publicity with the paperback.
So in many ways, Phil, by not doing anything the last couple of weeks, that's an olive branch. No, I'm not doing the olive branch thing again. I'm so tired of
Harry giving his olive branch, not the other way around.
One per show, Matt. Only one olive branch reference.
Yeah.
Honestly, one very important person at the Palace told me, said that there are not many branches left on this olive tree, and I hate using the phrase olive branch. I'm going to ban it from all broadcasts and
some
newspapers.
wine with it.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about finally on Prince Harry is it's a royal exclusive for royal exclusive. We know that they have bought property in Portugal, and that there was maybe debate or argument that perhaps they were using it they might want to live there. My understanding is that this property, whether it's been built yet or not, whether it's off plan or whatever, this thing that they've bought, they're going to use to invest their money, and that they are investing money into things like businesses and possibly other property. Now, their Netflix deal is coming to an end soon. Is this a sensible way for the Sussexes to consolidate the money that they've earned over the years? What message do you think this sends out, that this property in Portugal is not for them to escape to into Europe, not to use as a base, but they're using it as a property investment to keep their millions? What do you think?
I think it speaks to the fact that it has been probably not the post-royal career that they had thought financially, because a lot of, their Spotify deal was ended. I think that was last year. The Netflix deal is coming to an end, and I don't think they've produced as much as they would have thought they were going to. And they do have to have another plan. I mean, at the end of the day, there has been so much speculation and conversation over the last couple of years after they had done the Harry and Meghan series and talked about the royals a lot, and that felt like it was kind of done. What next? And I think property is a great investment. So it makes sense that they've probably had the same thought. What next? What else can we do? And it is a solid investment. So it seems like they are turning their attention to other avenues of, earning money.
Well, I think property is a good investment. I'm sure you're right, Matt. You've got very good sources on these things. I'd be surprised if they never used it at all. It's close to, Eugenie and Princess Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank, who they get on very well with. There's a lot of Americans moving to that area near Lisbon. Seems to be becoming the trendy place to go. I think there are tax breaks for actually going there. But so I'd be surprised if they didn't use it at all. But you know, maybe, as you say, it might be a good investment, and that's it. But it certainly would be a good European base, because I don't think Meghan wants to come back to the UK. And so, you know, if they do want to come to Europe for any period of time, that would be a good leaping off point.
It also, yeah, and it puts Harry in a position where he can actually stay for a longer period close to England. So when he comes back, you know, he's been back like 4 times.
But why not just buy somewhere in the UK?
It can be both. They could use it once, twice a year, and still a good investment. But
why not just buy somewhere in the UK? They haven't bought anywhere in the UK. They bought somewhere in Portugal to kind of put their money. If they were insisting on having a base in Europe or an escape plan for one of them, or somewhere to, you know, spend their time, why not just buy somewhere in London?
I don't think they want to spend any time in the UK. That's the problem.
I cannot see Meghan wanting to
make
any permanent base here.
No.
I can't even really see her coming back at any point for anything.
I can't.
Let alone owning property here. So maybe Portugal's as close as she feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Right, we have some quick fire questions to wrap up the show, so I hope you're ready. We did a lot on documentaries in this episode, because there's been a lot. So which royal documentary would you most like to see, and why?
You look at me.
Who wants to go?
I'd like to see. I'll go first. I'd like to see a fly-on-the-wall documentary, a la the Kardashians, of Prince Andrew and Fergie at home. I mean, it would either be the world's most boring programme, or it could be sensational. I mean, actually, I wouldn't put them past doing it, to be honest. In years to come, if they're desperate for cash, why not? If they get thrown out of Royal Lodge.
See, I almost want to change my answer to that one now.
Follow them around and see what happens. You know, so watch him playing golf and, you know.
I want to hear Fergie, I want to see Fergie behind closed doors and hear what she's chatting about.
See what happens.
I think for me, we talk about her so much, but we don't know that much about the Princess of Wales, actually. You know, we know exactly what she's delivered. I would love to see a very similar style thing to what William's doing, but with her early years' work. So over the course of a year, I would love to see that from her, because we would actually learn more about the woman herself. And it's not a criticism that we don't know more. I think she's had a really tough year, and she's a parent, and she's got, you know, her own privacy. But I myself, I just want to know more about her. I find her really interesting.
You put your finger up there, Bronte, because, you know, is there a danger of losing a bit of the mystique of the royals if they do too many of these shows? You know, if we see too much of them.
Well, probably, but that's their problem. I want to know.
Just other celebrities, and we really sort of, you know, oh, well, we know all that. You know, it's good to not know some things about them.
Yeah.
Well, that's why these 2 documentaries with the Queen and William that are coming out this week are so good, because they're about their working life and they're about what journalists see and what they're going to do behind the scenes while they're working. It's not William's at Windsor Castle in some parts of this documentary, and Camilla is in Clarence House, being filmed in Clarence House. But it's them working. It's not the Harry and Meghan 6-part Netflix series. No. But they're both great answers. I think I think more people would. Actually, God, I don't know.
I don't know.
If there's any TV executives watching, then we've got some great ideas for you anyway. Yeah. The King and Queen's Australia tour. Just very briefly, what do you think went right? Because we talked about it being a success. What do you think went right on that tour?
I think they pretty effectively tested the theory of how strong republicanism was in Australia, and I think they've come out on top. I think that it just does not have the momentum right now at all. And I think the second part is that, you know, that last day when they were at Sydney Opera House, that iconic royal positioning of the photos and thousands of people turning up, I think that went really well, and great photos, and it just finished that part of the tour on such a high.